Our topic today, I'm talking about how girls change after sexual assault. Okay, so kama dem amepitia sexual assault, how does it change them? And especially wacha ni put in the context of the lady just met a guy, probably the guy akamuinvite kwake, and then the guy forced himself on her. So how does that change a lady? Okay, the reason I'm talking about it is because me I've met so many ladies when you wako na those stories. Sasa ukiniambia ni kuestimatea ni mademu wangapi wame go through sexual assault who probably don't talk about it ama have never opened up about it, naweza kwambia out of 10 girls at least 6 ladies have gone through either attempted ama successful. Okay, successful is not a good word, but wame go through sexual assault ama attempted sexual assault, like somebody attempted. Okay, so what changes immediately after? They fear men. So unapata uni ule dem mwenye like unaonanga hana stories za wanaume, like it's almost like they fear men because hajaiona mwanaume in that sense, alafu anaona kumbe mwanaume by then anaweza try kujiforce. And probably for most ladies hizi ni story tu wanasikianga wanaume wanaweza fanya ama wanaume wanaweza fanya, they never thought it would ever happen to them. Okay, so you find most ladies immediately from that point anaogopa wanaume. Okay, and some of them unapata after an incident where they've been sexually assaulted, and this now I'm talking about like dem amekuwa raped amekuwa raped, and this was probably after amejuana na mtu, and then they thought they could trust that person, alafu wakaenda kwa nyumba yake, and then that issue happened ama that thing happened. Unapatanga most of them they fear men immediately. Si huyo mwanaume pekee mwenye amefanya hivyo, every man around them they fear them. Probably mwenye hezi ogopa ni yule family member, maybe a cousin, probably a friend, probably like a close friend ama a brother, watu wenye wako within her circle, au ndio probably atakuwa close to, lakini si mwanaume mwingine outside their circle. Okay, so that changes over time because kama ni mtu ataendelea kuwa social na wanaume ata meet different men. Okay, even if she's not going to the extent of kusema ati naweza kam kukutembelelea, and that's why you'll find as a guy you find ladies who will tell you mimi siendangi kwa nyumba ya wanaume. Okay, most of those ladies unapatanga they've actually gone through sexual assault, that's why wanasema hivyo. Okay, so usidhani ati don't think it's a random term, usidhani ati ni kitu tu random amefikiria kusema. No, it's because probably either akona experience yeye mwenyewe ama probably beshte yake ama ashaisikia mse close ama ashaisikia tu ama akawatch pahali akasikia that this is what might happen if you go to a man's place. So unapata most of them hawatakai kusikia ati story ya Netflix and chill, hatakai kusikia ati anaweza kuja kwa hao yako, you get. But what they don't understand sometimes ni ati hata wote alimwenye harash kukuambia see we go to my place ama nini, anakuambia twende date, and then maybe after amepeleka hata date 3 ndio anakuambia sasa twende kwa my place. What they don't understand is also even that guy can force himself on them. Okay, so it's not always ati juu mwanaume amekwambia ati let's Netflix and chill, ati that's the person who is more likely to, probably, but at the end of the day pia huyu mwenye anakupeleka date, it's almost like anakufunga macho and then finally anakuambia ni aje tufanye Netflix and chill. And that's the other thing, after such an incident has happened, unapata for most ladies they shun anything intimacy. So huu ni dem mwenye hata mkianza kuongea mkianza kuchat aone ni kama umeanza kukua too intimate, umeanza kuongea vitu nasty, anakuzima hapo anakuambia I don't like how you talk. And most of them you'll hear them say ati wewe manzi akiwe ni weird, you are weird, and the reason why they're trying to give you that tag is because of ile kitu yenye amepitia. Okay, so you find her relationship, naweza sema her dating scene going forward from being sexually assaulted, venye atajiona na wanaume going forward ama how she will interact with men going forward, she will be atakuwa na try project. So every time she meets a new guy she tries to project, she tries almost, it's like anajaribu kukuweka ni kama wewe ni kama ule mse mwingine. Okay, ni kama anakupaint kama ule mse mwingine. So if you are not aware as a man, you won't know. Mbona udema anashinanga akikwambia you are weird anytime you talk nasty, anytime you try to be intimate kidogo on text ama on call, anakwambia unakuwa weird, that's weird, I don't like that nini. Sometimes you might wonder why she's doing it. Is because probably huyo dem amepitia sexual assault. Okay, and that's why she's like that. Alright, because imealter venye hata ana communicate na wanaume. The other thing also could be this is the type of lady mwenye again hata waitaka kusikia ati unataka ati unamuinvite kwa keje yako, hata itaka kusikia ati unasema mfanye Netflix and chill, hata waitaka kusikia story yoyote ati anaweza kuja kwako. She will never want that story. Why? Because it happened to her. So it's almost like, you know, unajanga ile ya once bitten twice shy. So the first time it happened, the incident happened, so anajua manze, there's always going to be a chance that nikienda kwa mwanaume, the other guy might also try to do that. Okay, so you find for most ladies, they try to fall back on wanaume wenye alikuwa anajuana na wao before. So if such an incident happened, she tries to fall back on probably mwanaume mwenye alikuwa anajuana na yeye previously, wakaachananga ama wakaacha kuongea. Huyo ndio ataanza kutafuta. Why? Because that's the only person they know mwenye alimpeanga like a safe space, ama alimpeanga like a comfort space where he didn't try to do anything funny. So they try and fall back to that person. Okay, another thing that happens, ama how they change after sexual assault, unapata most of them self esteem inaenda chini. So you find a very beautiful lady lakini self esteem iko down. It's almost like, you know, she tries to do things to overcompensate. Okay, by overcompensating inamaanisha a lady can go through such an incident, but unapata ukiingia kwa room ama ukiangalia madem, yani amevaa the shortest dress, yani amevaa the most, you know, yani ile nguo ina show kabisa, ile nguo ina, you know, because their self esteem ilirudishwa chini. Because you see, some of them wenye wamepitia such incidences, you find that the guy, as they were doing that, they didn't only do that, they said some words to them. So probably mse alimwambia, manze, you are not pretty, no wonder hata kitu kama hiyo inaweza kufanyikia wewe, hata si mrembo wewe. Yani you find there is a guy mwenye they will not only sexually assault a lady, they will go to the extent of ana lower self esteem yake, like they will they will lower her self esteem and they will beat her down, ile ya not physically but ile ya self esteem, like anamuonesha wewe you are not anything, you are nothing nini, you get. So that thing can stick in a lady's mind. Nojue, for ladies, words mean a lot to them. So when a guy says that to them, haoni ati kama that was an isolated situation, maybe that person was, you know, alikuwa tu na issues zake, ama they are that kind of a person. Hapana, anaona ni kama sasa wanaume wote, they don't find her beautiful. So you find those are the ladies who try to overcompensate even in how they dress. That's why I tell men, by the okay, on a dem anavanga, yani over short dresses nini, and it's almost like anaji expose too much. Unajua kuna ile yenye unaona hadi unaanza kufeel shy for that lady ama embarrassed because anaji overexpose sana. Such a lady, oni dem amepitia trauma. Ogopa madem kama hao. The other thing that changes in these ladies, unapatanga personality yao inaweza change completely. So kama ni mtu alikuwa extrovert, anaanza kuwa introvert. Kama ni mse alikuwa very open, anaongeanga, alikuanga a very bubbly girl, anaanza kuwa ule dem mwenye amejinyamazia, hataki story mob, hataki stories za ati anaweza enda achelewe place. So kama ni mse alikuwa anaendanga events, you know, so that trauma traumatize to the level of it changes their personality. Okay, hadi anaacha kukuwa ule mse mwenye ulikuwa nadhani ni yeye. So if you are the guy mwenye probably ulikuwa katia udem in the process of kukatia udem, and then maybe such an incident happen hapo katikati, uta notice she will try to push you away as much as possible. So sometimes I say to guys, ukinotice dem anakupush away, it may not be out of atini yeye anataka, probably there's an incident ame go through, ni venye haja kuambia, that is making her to push you away. Okay, so another thing you need to understand is there are ladies who go through sexual assault na yet wako kwa relationship na huo mse. So probably that guy gets to a point and they become rough on them. Okay, na yet wako kwa relationship but they become rough on them. So that also can happen. Okay, so anytime una notice dem na kupush away, as a guy, imagine just take the hint, we ondokea, because only dem mwenye, for most ladies wenye nime notice, au ni madem mwenye, they might put themselves in such a situation akuje. So simekwambia, like they don't like to go to people's places. So huyo ni mse anaweza jiput herself in such a situation akuje kwako, and then maybe the act happens, probably mpige mechi nini, and then akugeukia kwambia, manze wewe umeniforce, mimi sikuwa nataka. Okay, and hizi vitu sometimes when I talk about them to somebody who has not experienced such a thing, anaweza dhani hizi ni stories za jaba, anaweza ona ni kama like hii ni kitu haiwezi happen. The day it happens to you ndio utajua that's how much of an impact sexual assault has on ladies. Okay, the other thing also you need to consider ni when a lady goes through such an experience, unapatanga she's the type of lady mwenye she'll always try to confirm, are you the kind of person to be rough? Okay, so atajaribu kukufanya sasa utasikia anaanza kukuambia ati by the way unakaa kuwa rough, unakaa kuforce mtu, unakaa una get the reason anakuambia hizo vitu, it's not random. She's trying to confirm what kind of a person you are. Yeye anajaribu kuona, are you the kind of person when you unaweza force? Are you the kind of person when you can force yourself on her? Why? Because she doesn't want to go through. Okay, the reason wanafanya hizi vitu is because they don't want to go through the same experience. Already iliwa traumatize mara ya kwanza, so they don't want to go through it again. Okay, although kuna study ilikuwa imetoka I don't know kama it's a real study, ni mse tu niliona amepost, alisema 63% of ladies ama women fantasize with rape. Okay, so you can imagine such a situation, and if you are a guy mwenye like you've experienced ladies kidogo, uta realize it's almost like mademo wanatakanga kuforcewa. It's almost like kuna kuanga nako ka, I don't know, it's like they want that ka force, they want that ka roughness fulani. Okay, so sometimes when you go through such, unafika point uko like me I'll never force. Kama hataki kukupea asikupee, kama hataka kukupea wacha akupe. Mi hapo ndio nakuanga personally, like kama unataka kunipea nipe, kama unataka kunipea wacha story iishe, kila mtu aende kwao. Okay, so that's that's the defense mechanism as a guy you need to have, so that usiekelewe dema anza kusema ati nini ati wewe ujamaa ni force. Okay, yeah. But also the last thing nikimalizia nitasema, they always try to bring it up. You find a lady anataka kuiongelelea, anasema unajua mimi kuna time nilienda kwa boy fulani akatry nini. So depending on kama you are a listener as a guy, depending on venye uta react, ataendelea na story ama akose. Okay, so there are ladies who will hint, atasema unajua nilishaenda kwa boy akakanikaja anajaribu kuniforce. At that point you should know as a man, huyo dem anataka kuopen up, because sometimes it helps, even though ana heal, sometimes it helps to tell somebody that manze, me I went through that thing na sijai heal. Okay, so sometimes ni poa pe dem chance ya kukuambia hiyo kitu so that imtoke. Okay, and most of the times nakwambia hiyo kitu kwa nini? Because as a guy you might find that you are dating a lady and maybe you shall fall in love na dem, but you don't know she's ever gone through a sexual assault incident. So akianza kuopen up, we skiza tu. Okay, and don't judge her. Okay, don't judge her. At the end of the day, kama bado wako sawa, kama bado ako probably maybe ako in the process ya kuheal, help her heal. Usikae ni kama ati utaanza kumshanu uanze kukaa mi wa dem ni mambo mingi. Sometimes ukiona ni mambo mingi achana naye. Ukifeel wewe mwenyewe hauna capacity ya kuhandle dem kama huyo, wachana naye. Even for me I walk away sometimes kwa like wa dem akona bado haja heal from that trauma. So sometimes you walk away, you're like Mr. Kio pressure. Okay, so yeah, niandikia hapo kwa comment section, what do you think changes and how do you know? By the way, how do you know a lady has gone through sexual assault?
Gachin Lion.